one of the biggest trends in the roofing industry is we have a lot of people who is going from storm restoration to retail. Today's guest is absolutely beast when it comes to retail game. Kenny Baden from Maryland. He used to work for Power Home Remodeling. I mean, he's an amazing coach, host of the Kitchen Table podcast, just overall amazing business owner. I know a lot of people who used to work for him and who built massive companies themselves. If you are looking for a coach to help you to go from storm restoration to retail, Kenny is your guy. But I also want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this podcast because we don't charge our guests for it as Estimate Experts. If you still do insurance restoration, you also need a partner to help you with insurance supplements, Exactimate, communication with adjusters. For me personally, insurance has always been a bonus. First couple years of stormwater roofing, my roofing company, I did not even do insurance work. Then we added it just because we have a lot of storms and a lot of people were asking us to work with their insurance companies, but it always has been a bonus for me in my companies. And I love seeing people who understand the retail game. I believe that everybody should be roofers first and then insurance, not experts, but insurance providers or service people second, because it is a service that we can offer as a company. Anyway, Kenny is your man. If you need any type of mentorship for the retail game, especially if you're coming from storm restoration, because I do see people start teaching and coaching who should not be teaching and coaching because they've never been retail guys, they've never understood the games themselves. But people like Kenny, we need more of them. Love to endorse him, love to recommend him. Enjoy the podcast. What got you there?
Drugs. Car accident. It wasn't until my last surgery I had some complications. I broke my femur in 11 places. I'm actually still a little bit off. Like one of my legs is a little bit shorter than the other, and the only fix is like another surgery, which that's not happening. 1 year I went from college graduate to convicted felon, trying to rob, of all places, a Hallmark.
Well, Kenny, I can't believe I'm wearing a suit and you are not. How the heck did that happen?
I don't know what you're talking about. Dude. No, I'm kidding. I was supposed to be wearing a suit. I had a 3-piece all picked out for you.
And what happened?
My tailor dropped the ball, dude. If Tim's listening, the bottom button of my vest was like out to here. And so like you with the hole punches on your signs,
yeah.
That's not gonna fly, dude. That's gonna drive me nuts. All I'll think about is that this bottom piece of my custom fitted suit is like puffed out to here when the rest is completely perfectly fit.
You didn't have any other suits you could wear?
I had other suits I could wear.
How many do you have?
I have a lot of suits. I have more suits than I need to have. I have a lot, but I can't fit in all of them.
Is it addiction or habit?
Addiction is a word that I have to be careful of because of my past. So I wouldn't say it's an addiction because it's not causing me any legal trouble. I haven't gone to rehab for it yet. I would say that I just really like to dress good, and I gained 30 pounds. I lost weight. So some of that plays into it too. You know what I mean? I can't fit into a lot of them now. Like literally most of my 2003 collection I can't fit into anymore.
2003. So. I want to ask my audience, guys, comment below if you're comfortable in a suit. I know it's, and that's what I want to dig in. I want to start there because we have, this culture shift. Like you follow people like Patrick Bet-David, and it's definitely culture because in our industry you have guys like Hunter Ballou who just goes on a conference on the stage in the shorts, right? Like you guys have like me, who are somewhat conservative, but I'm not a suit guy. I'm not comfortable in a suit anymore. As a matter of fact, I bought this for this interview.
I cannot believe I'm not wearing one.
Like you always there's a rule when you interviewing people, you want to mirror them. Like I want to come to your level. I don't want to wear a hoodie. Like if you would be David Carroll, I would be wearing a hoodie because I know that's what's common, right? But you always want to.
I still feel like I look okay. You're making me feel like I rolled up in here looking like a homeless person or something like that.
We're
He's
definitely
killing
on
me.
the same level, but you're not wearing three. Like my kids asked me today, who are you meeting today? And I told my kids, I said, this guy gonna wear a 3-piece suit. And here we are. But what is it for you? Like, is it culture, how you grew up? Is it your environment?
I think there's a couple answers, I guess, but if we're going to go deep, because I knew you were going to ask me this, because you always say something every time you see me, like, do you always wear a suit? Because I do almost always wear a suit. One, I like to dress nice. So, like, even today, I thought I looked okay. Clearly, Dimitri doesn't think so.
You look
but
amazing.
I thought I looked
you
okay.
look amazing. 10 out of 10.
But besides
But
that,
different.
as soon as I walked in, he's like, oh, where's the three-piece? I'm like, but in all seriousness, I think one part of it, I think, is just probably where I come from in terms of just some of my background. And I've always been like this. My mom would say I'm like the kid that used to iron his boxers before he went to Blockbuster. So I was a bit of a proverbial, I guess, like pretty boy. I don't know how else to say that in a way that makes me sound cool. But I mean, like, I do believe what you present is a brand and how much effort you put in. So I always tell my sales guys this. I say, dude, when you go to a house, you have a Libra scale of closed, not closed. Why would you put anything in the not closed section? So, like, could you sell if you're all disheveled and smelly and whatever? Like, when I started at Power, I think that plays a big part in it, by the way. Like, when I started at Power, we couldn't come in the office without wearing a suit and tie, or at least a shirt and tie.
So that's a culture or environment, or is it a requirement for Power?
Not anymore. But back then, so we're a little bit older, dude. Mm-hmm. We're part of, like, we've already seen the stuff shift, like, to where, like, when we first started, insurance wasn't a thing. It was all retail. Windows was roofing, right? Back then, there were shows about it. White Gold. This was in '08. And I couldn't come in the office without having the tie had to be on. Couldn't be around. So
what did you guys do in those suits? Did you door knock in the suits? Did you?
No, but I think they did actually have to at least wear, like, I tested right into sales, so I didn't have to door knock, and I was real proud of that. But that was actually to my detriment, because that would have taught me. I ended up door knocking later for solar, so I thought that was cool, but it actually hurt my career. But those guys didn't wear full suits. We had to at least wear a shirt. But when you walk,
what was the job description? So you come to the office, because a lot of Wall Street guys will do that, right? Like, if you watch DiCaprio in a movie, they all wear suits, but they're making cold calls, and I actually love it. And I tell everyone, like, just because you're on the phone and people don't see you, they will feel if you're on the couch laying down. And I feel the same is fair for wearing suit, because you feel different when you just dress a little bit nicer.
Yeah, you look good, feel good. What did Deion Sanders say back in the day? He said, look good, feel good, play good. Like that, what they taught us at Power was look better than the next guy. And like that, I'm like uncontrollably swiveling. So I'm trying to, like, not move, but I'm just going, dude. There might be a loose thing here. But Power was very much, dude, they had a very niche person that they wanted. When you walked in the training room, like, I felt good about myself. Like, I looked around. There was a lot of guys that looked like you or me, or that just obviously valued how they presented themselves, not only in just how they dressed, but, like, they were in shape. They were good-looking guys. They were, I guess they were cool. I don't know. I thought they were cool, but, like, that made me feel good, right? When I walked in the room, like, hell yeah, I'm in a room full of studs. That's like what Brad Lee says. You can't attract a stud in a room full of turkeys, right? Or even putting a turkey in the stud house, he's going to chase away the studs, right? So, like, by coming into a room full of studs, I felt good. We're dressed good. It was a requirement. It all kind of added to, like, the mystique of Power. Does an excellent job of getting you to drink the Kool-Aid. Like, that's probably what they do the best of. The dudes there, you run into a guy at Power that's a canvasser, and he's going to stop you and say, well, no, I'm in CD, customer development. And he will tell you that. He's not a canvasser. He's in customer development, right? Like, they buy into that, man. So they do a really good job. And I think that's just part of it. I guess they don't need that anymore because it's all polos, and what they've found is it be more approachable.
Do you feel like it's also going away? Do you feel like the whole, Jordan Peterson, like, 3 suit, like, there is different culture, I think. What I see, we have, I don't know if it's a trend, but here's my journey with the suits. Like, I'm like you. Like, growing up, I like dress shirts, dress shoes. For me, if I'm going to church, wedding, like, you have to dress, like, to your best. And I liked it, but then I lost it. And I remember when I did the Roofing Process Conference, first 3 years of the conference, every year, I go to tailor, I got a suit, and like for me, it's like I'm on a stage, 500 people come, 1,000 people, I have to wear a suit. Dude, I've never wore it twice. Like I would wear it at the roofing process conference, and for the rest of the year, like it's just like I will not wear it twice. And then I'm like, you know what? That's not me anymore. If I'm comfortable in a hoodie, in a black shirt, that's me. And when I look at the billionaires these days,
Yeah.
you know, athletes like very even you know Brad Lee. I've seen Brad Lee on a stage like in a jeans and shirt, like very casual. And have you watched Billions?
Yes.
That guy, he's not wearing you know suit anymore. So I think there's a new trend of simplicity, if you will.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think it could be. I think as with any trend, what I've seen is the opposite to your point, where like now they're like, oh, the billionaire in the room is usually the guy in the black T-shirt when everyone else is in a suit, and I would argue that's probably true. But I would also argue that if I'm trying to, for me, a big part of like in 2017, I had nothing. Nothing. No driver's license, no vehicle, no bank account. I couldn't get a bank account for like 4 years.
Wow.
So like no documents supporting that I was a human being. Like I was completely rebooting. So I tend to think what's going to get me to A to Z faster. And a lot of it's relationships and networking. It's about who you know. And I'm good at that. I make friends easy. It's going to help me stand out. Undoubtedly, if I step into a room full of people that are just dressed normal and I show up in a three-piece, how many times have we talked about it, right? So, like, to me, it's a bit of a strategy in that. Like, you'll always be you'll never be looked at in a negative connotation or dismissed if you dress that way. It's only going to, in my experience, it's only going to benefit you. It's only going to help bring attention to you. People are going to treat you different. That has been my experience. And I haven't gotten to a level where I'm with billionaires and I can discern whether it helps me there or not. But I can tell you for sure, without a doubt, going into a room now where I am at and trying to get ahead, 100% it helps me. If I walk into a room and I don't even have a chance to speak to you and my presence is all I get, and I might need to make that connection over there with that person, my chances of making that are a little bit better if I present myself in a way that's different than somebody else. And so that's part of it. I also just like dressing nice. I just went to Jersey and met with this dude called the Gentleman's Playbook. His name is Tom. He dresses all the athletes in the NFL. I drove up there right outside of New York City. I did this for my birthday. You've got do you mind if I speak about it?
Yeah.
What you just showed me, you've got the saunas. Like, that's your Lamborghini. That's your suits. Everybody has something that they value, and that's it. That's what they spend their money on, and they work hard for.
Take me all the way to 17, the lowest point. How did you get out of it? No
Sorry.
bank account. What happened, and what was your first move?
My espresso just hit me, by the way, so I'm like, let's talk. My first move was I didn't plan on coming back. So, like, I truly was living in a manner that was like, I'm not coming back. I don't care. I'm okay with that, right? So
Coming back to life,
to life.
normal
Yeah,
life?
yeah. I truly had dude, I had spent a decade.
Where did you live? Like,
At the time, I lived outside. So I was sleeping outside behind a baseball field the last night of my journey. And I had done that before. So one other time before I got arrested, I was living in Salisbury, Maryland, and I was staying with these two young ladies that were letting me sleep on their couch. Most of the time I could stay there. And again, I'm good at networking. So like,
what got you there?
drugs, car accident. So, and I don't want to say this, look, I feel like this is important. And I'm very candid about this because I feel like that it's my duty to be candid because of coming back from that. And I want to represent this in a certain light, and I didn't do that always because I wanted to just gloss over that and look how cool I am. But that's a big part of who I am, man. And I believe it added a lot of character. I was kind of an asshole, if I'm being honest, before that. I needed to be humbled a bit, and because I had no reason to be, I was lost. I had no direction. So for me, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. At the time, it was really hard to see it that way.
Of course.
Car accident, pain pills, and I wanted to make that distinction for my family's sake. I was raised great, right? Military dad, raised with character, raised with values, traditional values. grandparents that loved me.
What led to your fall? So 2008, you had power home remodeling. In 2017, you practically
It was before
homeless.
that. It was just before that I got into a car accident. The car accident then prescribed me painkillers for some time. And if you watch the shows on that, it was very much like that. They were over prescribing. The doctor that prescribed to me ended up losing his license. I didn't know what they were, dude. I didn't know. I didn't know what drugs were. It's not like I was a drug guy. I was a frat bro in college. It wasn't until my last surgery I had some complications. I broke my femur in 11 places. I'm actually still a little bit off. Like one of my legs is a little bit shorter than the other, and the only fix is like another surgery, which that's not happening. So after my last surgery, which was my senior year of college, I stopped getting those. Actually, really what happened was my old man saw his statement, the insurance statement, and said, "You're either selling these or you got a problem." It was actually both, Dad. And I was doing both. But I was on his insurance, so he called our doctor and was like, "Do not ever prescribe my son this again."
Wow.
And that was cool.
What
Only
was the drug? Opioids?
Percocet and Oxycontin. It's all the same thing, and that's the thing, man. People want to make themselves feel better by trying to make there's a distinction between opiates in any way, shape, or form, heroin or Percocet. It's the same thing. I can tell you, 100%. Not having them feels the same, and that's what happens. So Dad tells him to stop.
Did you try did you try just Percocet, just medicine
Oh,
stuff?
I tried all the stuff,
So and
buddy.
it's the same effect.
Same effect, but cheap. So what happens is, and this is a story that many people have, they get hurt, they go on that. It's not, I don't think it's prevalent today, but back then, they get hurt, they go on that, they're overprescribed, they'd have no idea what's happening, they become physically dependent on it, right? Then they stop. You can't just stop. Your physiological makeup now is dependent on this. You become violently ill, you don't understand it, you don't know why, you connect the dots, oh, if I take this again, I won't be sick, and then you're hooked, right? And then it becomes very expensive to purchase these on the street. Well, there's an alternative that's much cheaper. And so the what ifs and the I would nevers become part of everyday life. I would never put a needle in my arm. Well, within 4 months, that's what I was doing. And within 1 year, I went from college graduate to convicted felon, trying to rob, of all places, a Hallmark store. So we're just going right into it, by the way. I was not planning on talking about this, but that's what happened.
I don't
man.
have those questions.
Yeah. So
I appreciate you open up.
Because again, man, I mean, to talk about how cool things are, I would be doing people that are currently possibly going through that a disservice,
So
man.
Hallmark, what's Hallmark? Like,
Hallmark, the card store. And I didn't plan it out, dude. I was like sick out of my mind because I didn't have the things I needed. I'm in Salisbury, Maryland, because I went to my 5th rehab at this point. Staying with these girls. I'm homeless. Like, to me, I'm not homeless unless I'm literally sleeping outside every night. I was only sometimes sleeping outside. And so, I got arrested for not having what I needed and being desperate enough to, you get so hooked on these things, brother, that, it just changes your whole makeup. Like, even someone as
you don't
strong
care
as you.
about circumstances anymore.
No, and you're tenacious. So, someone like yourself, when it becomes and it latches on, you don't know. You don't even know it's doing it. You don't know that you need to look out for it. So you can't prepare for it. It's just all of a sudden you're just hooked on this thing and you want it like air. Like kids, think of all the women that are pregnant with kids that can't stop. There's no stronger connection, on the planet. You think they just are terrible people? They don't want to do that. To them, it's as natural as breathing air. And so for me, it was the same thing. And I became a monster. And I'm very tenacious. And I'm very strong-willed. So equally, when it comes to that, I'm going to do whatever I have to do, including try to rob a store, including, dude, I've done a lot of terrible things. I went from college graduate, raised with good values, to a very, very destructive animal in about a year.
What was the turning point?
I wish I could tell you that was, man. I went to jail, and I knew that I shouldn't do drugs, but by then, my wife is an attorney, and she was actually part of, at some point, the whole Sackler thing, which they're the Oxycontin people. And so she has a particular hate for that stuff. And she also has an understanding of the physiology behind it. And what she tells me is that my makeup was changed. I don't know if that's true. I have addiction in my family. I was kind of warned about that with alcohol. But I couldn't even drink any longer and do that occasionally. So I drank for 2 years, just like I did those. and I was a big fatty McTurd. I was gross. I was 60 pounds overweight, but I wasn't getting any trouble. I was back in sales, right? Power was before that, actually. And I had all these intermittent times of sobriety, a month or two, and then I would sell myself to you. I'd do a really good job, and you'd think I'm going to be the best, and I probably would be for like a month. But then I'd fall on my face again because I was trying to do this on my own and my own way because I'm very strong-willed and stubborn. And it wasn't until, to really answer your question, what the turning point was I had had my ass kicked so many times that I was ready to be dead. I had accepted that. I was just tired, dude. I was tired of fighting. So I stopped fighting and trying to figure out ways to do it. And I just was like, what do I do? That's literally what happened. I've been told what to do many times in many rehabs, but it's not until the individual is so broken and so desperate and so willing that you could say, go put this chicken suit on and stand out in traffic. But I promise, brother, you're going to be okay, where you'll actually do something about it. And that's it, man. I had heard the things to do, but I actually was willing to do them. That's it. So this time around, I was back again, homeless. Well, I was definitely homeless this time. There was no asterisks.
2017?
Yeah, fast forward 2017, because then, there were intermittent times, and I don't want to, skip past this, but it was a mess, and I brought my family along. That's why I am the way that I am now, because it doesn't just impact me. This is a family disease, a family dynamic. You can call it whatever the hell you want. I don't give a shit. Whatever it is, I had it. I still have it. I still have to work conscientiously. Constantly, I have to make sure that that's something I'm still involved in recovery. I still sponsor men. That will always be something that I'm involved in. I'm in a 12-step program. It's anonymous, so I won't get into it, but that's important to me. Every Thursday and Friday, that's where I'm at. Right, I pick my office because it's right near my home group. Right, that's what I do. There are a lot worse things and worse ways I can spend my time. But at the time when I'm young and I live to party, I'm like, bro, I can't see myself in the church basement on a Friday night. And it wasn't until that was like, I don't give a damn what you tell me. Just don't let me be like this anymore. Right, don't have me robbing people. I couldn't go to the place I live for a long time because I had bad habit of robbing dealers, and that's not good for your health. So there were a lot of gas stations and places I was afraid to go to because I probably did some stupid stuff there, and I was a menace, man. But when you apply that energy and that tenacity that it takes to live like that, 'cause it takes a lot, brother. Your first thought when you wake up, who do I have to screw over? What do I have to do? What do I have to do today that's terrible to get what I need? And I have to do that every single day. That is your life. It's exhausting, dude. So you apply that minimal effort to something good, you can go really far, really fast.
How big of the problem do you see it in the industry? You probably can spot those.
I was getting ready to say, bro, and if you don't know,
you can see.
It's not even a unique story. I thought I was so unique, and it's probably, I would dare say it might be the majority. Think about it. On the insurance restoration side, I bet you
Are we talking about sales reps? Are we talking about installers?
I think owners too. I really do. I mean, how many folks have you knowingly or unknowingly? I can tell you personally, I know a few, 3 off the top of my head that are in the same bed as me. They don't talk about it as candidly, probably because they're not involved in recovery any longer. But and I will not mention who, but that's not my business. But they come from the same background. I can tell you they come from the same background. And so I think insurance restoration as part of the industry tends to lend itself to being, because it's hustle driven, right? And if you want it to be, it can be hustle driven. And if you want to be dishonest, you might be able to make some money. And so both sides of the spectrum, you can make money. If you're a good man and a good person with good principles and you just take that tenacity and apply it to that industry, it rewards hustle. But if you want to be hustle-driven plus a scumbag, it could reward that too. I think it's changed a lot because the insurance carriers are, but you know that, man. It's rampant with fraud and things like that.
When did you start your construction company? How did you build it?
I started it in 2018. So 2017, get back in the industry. I had done really, really well in sales, but just could never sustain it. So I get into work for the gentleman that just kind of let me down to the point where I wanted to start with this partnership. So technically I started my consulting company first that worked with, and to be honest with you, dude, these were all his ideas. Like I just wanted to have a partnership, but because he's such a weirdo and nefarious creep, he convinced me that I couldn't be on the LLC for whatever reason. And I was just dumb. I didn't know. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, brother, with your background, you're only 18 months sober. I don't know if you should be on the bank account. What if? And I'm like, hey, you know what, man? You're probably right? Well, because you're not on the bank account, you can't be on the LLC. Because you're not on the LLC, you can't be. There can only be one person on the MHIC, which is our Maryland license, which is not true, which I didn't find out until I took the MHIC. But like, so I start my consulting company, but I was thankful for that because that was my plan. Because unlike, my original plan was to have a consulting company and just teach people to do retail sales because I saw that as a big need in the industry, and I think it's still a big need in the industry. Do you know what's funny, dude? You know why I started that? I saw a video from your best friend, Lee Haight, shout out Lee, and I was like, and no disrespect, but this is facts. I saw the video. My owner at the time paid $15,000 for these videos, and I was like, I can do this. I'm just gonna be honest, man. I watched it. I was like the edits were like, there was a couple videos where like he's laughing with his buddy in the scene, and like I'm like, don't even bother to edit that out. Like, I can do this, right? I was a video production major in college, weirdly, so I happened to embrace all this type of stuff.
Brother, I've seen your content. Your content already 10 times better than Lee Haight. Like I don't know what sucker's buying his content, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a few general truth here and there, but your content is already better.
I appreciate that. And it was what made me confident enough to step out into the consulting world. So I suppose I owe a bit of a thank you.
Do you think we have too many consultants in the industry?
100%, 1,000%. I think it's why I was like, I don't know if I went really contrarian in the last 2 years, and I lost a lot of business because of that. Like I didn't want to show. I sold my vet. I was trying to show people the real. Like, hey, I'm gonna sell my car, and I'm gonna do that because I want to make a hire, and my CFO doesn't think I should make that hire, so I'm going against my CFO. So I have to pay for that, right? Like He doesn't think that's a good. And he was right, by the way. I shouldn't have done that. We got our ass kicked for a little bit, but we bounced back. But I wanted to show the less sexy stuff. People don't want to see the less sexy stuff, dude. I think they really want to see the cars and the suits and the homoerotic part, which is, I guess, muscles and tattoos. I don't know what's up with that, but I'll show it to them. They seem to like it, so I don't know, dude. I mean, whatever.
Instagram culture.
They want what they want to see, what they want to see. They want what they want. They want to look like you, have the wife like you. But I thought I would show them what it really was, because that's really what it is to get those things. Like, you have plenty of things that you could show that are just as sexy, if not sexier. That's not your bag, but like that's your Ferrari, that's your stuff, right? This whole everything is that, dude. It's probably worth 5 of those, right? But like, that's not going to be as sexy to Johnny, the 25-year-old who's just getting into roofing and has these grandiose dreams of. To him, he can only conceptualize a McLaren as the thing that's like, I've made it. I got this McLaren, this chain. I made it.
My thing was always, I always want to be more impressive in person than online. And that's why, like, I speak, 6-8 times a year. I don't know, record me speaking. But if you came, like, I do this events with Aiko, like, in a few weeks, I'm flying to Canada. I don't film. I don't get my camera guys. I want you to attend my speaking event, get something out of it. I want you to come to my studio and be like, hey, this is cooler than I thought it is. Yeah. I want you to hang out with me in my sauna and my, if you come to my house, if you see my kids, I want you to be impressed. Because what we have is, it's opposite of Instagram culture, where everything is fake online and in person, like everybody's broke behind the scenes. I want it to be opposite. I want it to be like, okay, this guy does not show anything, but then he shows for the competition and just wins. Because you can't fake the results. Like if I go, like, for example, Lee Haight fight. Lee Haight been publishing his, coaches and his drills daily, how cool he is. I did not publish single training in 4 months. But then I show up, and now for the 2 years, I have a video of me knocking him out. Now I'm going to post for the rest of my life.
I know, he hates that with all.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's like, be about it. It's not like, it doesn't matter what I say, what I do. People, like, my thing about that fight was, by the way, I wanted everybody, and I told my wife, I told all my friends, I wanted everybody who attended, it was 1,000 people in the room, say, that guy prepared. That's all I wanted people to see.
And you still prepare.
I prepare like every freaking day. But you can see it. You can see what people put the work in. And it's like people like, you can see this work. You can't fake the work.
Yeah, but they want the microwave. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's
No. I agree with you. And you have to play the algorithm.
Yeah,
You
right.
have to give them, I hate it. Like for me,
Yeah.
like I want to make videos on my phone, but I have to buy fancy camera, nice lens,
You've gotten too big, bro.
Yeah.
You're past the phone stuff, man. I mean, I've been enlisting your services, and to be fair, I have not been using them, so you're not seeing the results. I will, though. I will. I'm committed to that. But I made a conscious commitment that this year I was going to dive back into the things that I know. 2 years ago, I was posting every day. I grew a Facebook group from like nothing to 6.7 thousand in like 4 months, just posting value-driven content every day, which isn't a lot, but like 6.7 thousand people in one group that you're able to like talk to and possibly even offer services to is a lot, right? Like, and that doesn't just happen. That was organic. I put a lot of work. You know what happened, brother, is by the end of that year, I had met a lot of these people, and I was so fucking jaded and disappointed. Like, what? This is what it is? So I was the guy wanting to receive and meet these people and pay these people. And I joined all these groups. I spent $500,000 in coaching in 1 year and a couple months because I got obsessed. Because I do have a little bit of an addictive personality. So I got a little bit of it and joined this business group, got this coach, Andy. And Andy was great. I spent a lot of money. That's how I got to be around the Lees and all these people.
Who influenced you the most, you would say?
My free mentors. Like I would approach you, for instance, if you had a business in my area. Before I ever paid anybody, I went and around. I was just humbled myself. Like, brother, you are running a top 25 remodeling company. I still have these men. One of them texted me today, Adam Champagne, the CEO of Home Fix, and like 6 other companies worth 9 figures plus. Just bought my wife's dream home. Another owner, John McCambridge of MLM. Both of these guys own companies in my area that could be like, we were trying to create competition, buzz off. But instead, they're like, absolutely, bro, take time out of their day without even getting paid to meet with me. And so they taught me so much. Andy, certainly, the network around them, I think, is more valuable sometimes than even like what you get. Andy was very blunt about like, hey, I'm not going to do one-on-one. It's not what I do. But like the network of winners, like me and you are in the same network. We're pursuing the same dreams. There's something to be said for being able to be around like 20 people like that. You can't help but like go out, be around those people, get fired up, take some of that energy, bring it back. And it does help. Like that year, we had our best year to date until last year. So I was traveling every year. I spent all this money. You would think that I would have been broke, but it was actually an abundance mindset that truly did work. So I received a lot from that. I just got jaded because I got screwed over by a couple people that we won't mention. And those people were supposed to be coaches and people of mine and I went and got NLP certified. I didn't need to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really use that often. I thought I was going to, but I can at least now offer something when somebody wants to enlist my services when I have a consulting client right up the street from you. Literally, might see him today. They would love to see you, dude. That would be awesome. But these guys all revere you. I mean, they're in Minnesota. And I wouldn't have met them had I not done those groups and spoke on those stages. So while I didn't make money from it, I did in a sense, and it helps brand myself. So this year I'm going to be doing more of that. I just want to be authentic.
Bad experience is also, I think, best lesson in life. Whether it's when we have good experience, we learn differently when we have a bad experience. Yeah. I'm the same way. Sometimes you just, if you go to the event and you're like, that's it, like, because you see the difference between advertising and results, but it actually makes you better and more driven to create something, better in that sense. Let's talk a little bit more about our industry. So what do you think? Let's start with the ice. Is ice bothering you in your area? Like, where are you at on that?
Yeah, big time, man. And I'm really disappointed in that. I think we tend to lean similarly in our values, both political and otherwise. I think a lot of us do. It's affected me. Delaware, for whatever weird reason, worse. But the guys that aren't even like, obviously the guys that we pay and utilize are legit, or they wouldn't be able to be like, as a general contractor, we have specific qualifications that we must adhere to do business with somebody. However, that doesn't stop them from being terrified to like go and not want to be like ice rated on a job. So if a job or an area is just being like relentlessly hit, And they were, dude. They were doing like there were things that they were doing. They were requiring guys to show up to like a courthouse and like fix the process or start the process. They were doing raids there. Like, what kind of entrapment crap is that, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like having you come there to fix the issue or whatever, and then they're just going to boot you back. Those guys aren't like, are we really targeting criminals here? Brother, like a lot of these Hispanic folks and their mom, like we got their back, dude. Like all of us do, man. You know what I mean? We're like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you messing with them? It seems to me you've got much bigger problems in this state alone. And I'm not, look, no disrespect to any type of people or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, are they people? What problems are they causing besides working hard and doing a service that? Do you know a lot of American white or black folks that are lined up to go and install roofs for you? Because I don't. I couldn't find them. I've used one crew in my life. They took 3 days to do a 1 day job. I had to get up there and scrape it for them because I was like, you guys are moving too slow. You know what I mean? I think it's going to make a big problem. And I would imagine that the Mr. Prez received those benefits too whilst doing his construction. You're going to tell me he didn't have, like, come on, brother. And I'm not saying I'm advocating for illegal services or something like that. I'm just saying, why are you making it so difficult for the guys that are, like, not even illegal? They don't want to be harassed. They don't want to be scared. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to be, like, pressed out by the authority while they're trying to do a job. Like, so they'll avoid those areas. So to answer your question, yeah, we've had to, like, pay more or avoid certain areas, or guys just won't go. They just won't go, you know. And it's like,
why do you think this year is so different? Because I've been in this country since 2005. I remember Obama. I remember like all the presidents, and I remember like as an immigrant, because I was working on my papers back in the day.
True American dream, baby.
But as an immigrant, you're always cautious about, you know, if they pull me over, the deportation is always on the list until you're like have that passport, which takes like 5-6 years, right? But the thing is, nobody was protesting. They were deporting people in 2005. They were deporting people in 2008. You know, like I have a lot of Russian students who went back because they got in trouble, what's not. So the problem was always there. Deportations was always there. I mean, the border czar guy, like he was actually appointed by, you know, other party. But now is the problem. Now is a fight on the street. I just don't understand the protest.
Well, the protests are paid for, but that's a whole other conversation, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, because it's coincident. Like the protests seem to be awful coincidental in terms of like where. I think that, and they're the wrong ones, bro. Like, why are you protesting factual, fraudulent nonsense? You should be protesting for the homies we were just talking about. If we're gonna protest peacefully or do something, I have thought about.
And that's the key. That's, you know, peaceful protest is. It's a beautiful word, but I don't see a lot of peaceful.
No, because they're organized. In my opinion, it seems to be. Didn't they just like open up an investigation into that? Yeah. It seems to be that in specific states, there seems to be a coincidence that there's certain leaning states, and those states always have violent tendencies, and somebody's funding it. But if you're going to do anything, why don't you stand up for the dudes that really deserve it? And in my opinion, those are our Hispanic brother and sisters that are just trying to work, bro. You know what I mean? Or make it an easier process, man. Like, they're not hurting anybody. And even like leave the ones alone that are here legally. You know what I mean? Like, why are you going to bust their chops? They're not out here running babysitting rings and stealing from the government. They just want to work.
What's your take on private equity?
I know your take on private equity, which makes me nervous, but
you don't.
I don't. All right, well, let me ask you, Mr. Dimitri, because and I thought about this. I'm like, well, Dimitri used these services, but and that's not true. I guess I only saw the episode that you were talking about, and I have to say, if you make the wrong decision with whom you partner with, and that private equity comes in and just wipes everything out, yeah, that's not cool, right? Like for us, I am very interested. I think it's awesome. I think it's potential for, if you were in the roofing industry currently, you have the potential to create generational wealth for your family right now. And I think that you'd be a fool not to explore that. And we've been exploring that since the inception of this company. And that's probably ultimately the driving force as to why my partner and I would have never worked anyhow, because he wasn't interested in that. I am wholeheartedly interested in the potential of being invested in, because it creates an opportunity for my people. I've been if you talk to anybody in my company, I got to have you out, bro. Have you out, come meet my people. They know what we're doing. It's not a secret. We're not having these conversations in the background, because if I can tell you, hey, brother, look, you're a hell of a sales guy. I only hire green dudes, so this wouldn't apply to me. I don't like hiring retreads. I think that's a poor president. I think train the people you need, and they'll stay a lot longer, and they'll be a lot better. But if I can bring you in and say, hey, you're a smart young man, here's what we offer here. It's potential, and it's an opportunity, just an opportunity. We're shooting for this. I can't promise it's going to happen, but I probably do say it's going to, because I firmly believe it will as I speak that type of stuff. This is going to happen, and when it does, it's going to be a hell of an opportunity for all the people here. Brandon J. from Brandon J. Roofing, I can shout him out because he's a good friend of mine. He's a perfect example. They went from 10, 5 to 7, 5 to 7, 5 to 7, 10, 34, gone. Then boom, double. Great investment for them. Found the right company, the right partner, was very diligent in his process, and he was able to supply 14 people on his team, maybe 15, with $400,000 to $500,000 checks. Like, if I can petition you and say, look, I can't promise these things, but I can promise the opportunity. If you're here, you will have that opportunity, and that I can promise. So when we make the decision to find the right partner, we are going to do something very similar. It has to be the right fit. It has to be the right partner. For me, it's about longevity and the opportunities that I can offer my people, not just me, because I don't want to do this forever. My goal is 2 years, I want to be a part of the initial, and then I want the real money with private equity or these other companies is when they sell the second time. And that's when I can set my people up. I'll plop on the board, and the people that have been working hard at my company currently can continue to run it. If that's not an option or even possible that someone else comes in, it's off the table. It's off the table. And we have these conversations candidly with a team so they hear them.
I'm a little bit puzzled now. So for one, I believe the only reason to be in business is, well, 2 reasons. Is to pass it to your kids or to sell it. Private equity helps with that. So like for me, I've sold 3 businesses so far. I want to have an exit. Like in whatever you do, like you have to have an exit. Yeah. We built all of this for a reason. Yeah. Like I don't want my kids to suffer. I don't want my employees to suffer. You want to build a legacy. There should be greater exit, because when you don't have it, when business closes, it doesn't matter what business it is, store, whatever, the customers, the employees, everybody gets screwed. So for it to continue, it's a good exit. Now, I'm puzzled because there's a conflict of interest for me. Directory.com recommends roofing companies. And I'm actually making an executive decision. Am I going to be recommending equity firms, or I'm going to owners, operators? And I'm studying right now other industries. One of them, I just watched Business Insider, big piece on RV industry. So in RV world, in the past 5 years, they consolidated everything. And the companies who used to make trailers, so right now there's no diversity. It's pretty much becomes one monopoly, right? And what they do, they cut down on quality because they want to get as much cash out, and I don't blame them, but they want to please the shareholders. So like there's very few players in RV world who is still family owned and operator. They brought example, Tiffin is one of the largest players. They sold after 2020 and the quality went down, and I can see it, right? Because when private equity buys, like I have to think about, do I recommend owner operator like yourself or private equity who just cares about profit? And for me, I don't think I can recommend private equity in that sense. Yeah. Because I don't think it's good for the homeowner. It's the same with a restaurant. Do you recommend your friend eat at McDonald's or fast food chain or kitchen where they make it from scratch? Yeah. But the decisions will be made to make more money and go from scratch. I would argue that doing quality thing, making food from scratch, always winning strategy, but not every investor will agree.
Dude, I didn't even think about it like that. I could totally, that's tough, man. Yeah, because I don't think I would either, to be honest with you. But if I knew them, so you got to do some research. You got to really dig in.
You can make exceptions.
Yeah. Like I would say Brandon J would be one of those, right? But he also didn't go private. I think he went like joint venture, whatever. But
yeah, like Martin Pettigrew, I used to recommend Martin Monarch Roofing, right? Like the best company of the year. So now it runs by and now what I see I don't like. Yeah. So it used to be company of the year 4 years ago. Sure. And now they're letting people go, and I see complaints from the homeowners I didn't see before. Now, I don't hate them yet. I am not downgrading them, but the question is, do I recommend them? Now, company of the year is linked to roofing, is owner-operator in the same market. So I have to adapt too.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just the market. I totally get that. I would, yeah, you got to kind of watch. Like, all right, you made your move. Are you gonna change? You know, like for us, like if you were to, and I need to see about getting a part of directory. That would be better. You do a lot of work in Maryland.
Everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, we have 40-year company closed doors here because of private equity.
I saw that. That's what I
right?
saw.
So like,
Yeah.
that's your answer, right? Like it's anyway. I have last 6 questions. Let's because we've been at it for a while. You can answer as fast as you can, or you can take your sweet time answering it. Biggest mistake you've made as an owner?
Oof, biggest mistake I've made as an owner, being trying to be a friend, trying to people please, trying to making myself too available. I'm one person, so rather than focusing on creating you and pouring into one or two people that can become an offset of me and my character and the company's values, I was trying to like be everybody's coach. You know, there was a couple years ago where I was on Facebook and doing all the things I was talking about, and I got a lot of interested salespeople that wanted to work for me, but they wanted to be like influencers and things like that as well. And I can't coach you. I can't coach everybody. You know what I mean? And so like, and I can't people please or be your buddy. You know, I read a book called 13 Fatal Errors. Kurt Lennington recommended this to me, how managers make 13 fatal errors managers make and how to avoid them. And that helped me a lot. And what I was doing was trying to be like the friend. That's not going to work. You need to have some boundaries. You can't be having reps call you at 10 o'clock at night and being your buddy. Like that doesn't work. And so for me early on, that's how things were. And it was a hard, jarring, and I still struggle with that because I don't want to be I want to be approachable, and I like to coach. You know, I sponsor people in sobriety. I just like that, but I can't do that with everybody. But I could show up in a new office, rile you guys up, rah, and kind of be the mascot maybe. And that's the role I'm adopting now. But I would say the biggest mistake I made was probably trying to be like everyone's everything and not worrying about delegating, pouring into one or two people that can then be that next me.
Love it. What is the stupid shiny toy that contractors are chasing right now?
McLarens and chains, probably. I would be, and I thought that was really, I understand it. I went through that phase too, and then I sold all my watches. Yeah, which I still have this one, but I sold like 6 others when I sold that car to scale. But I would just say, cars, watches. Look, if you're going to do it, I'm not shitting on that because I did it. Just make sure that whatever you do is not at the behest of your people, and I won't bust your balls. As long as you financially are in a place where like you're so wealthy, you're so great that doesn't impact or hurt anybody else, then whatever, I guess. I get it, but to where it's the detriment of your people, that's a problem. Like if you don't know you're going to be around next year, just hold off, man. You know what I mean? Like just wait, set a really cool goal of excess, then get the thing. Like that's what I do. Like, all right, the goal is this, but if we achieve this, then I can justify going. I did it this year. I just bought an R8. Like I didn't need that R8, but our goal was, hey, we got to at least do 10. You know what I mean? Because next year we're going to be shooting for 20, 30, right? So we did it, and when we exceeded that, I'm like, okay. Plus, I hired consultants. I mean, I'm a consultant. I achieved hiring. What am I trying to say, dude? I was lucky and got some consulting clients, and my goal with the consulting company was getting at least 2 people, right? I only work with specific. When I do consulting, I'm very picky with whom I choose to work with because I can be. I don't have to do that. Sure. I found a guy in Minnesota. I like them. I have nothing but a good track record so far. I can show, hey, year 1, typically what I do when I do consulting, this is a bit of a shameless plug, but I bring a business in that's in that 1 or 2 to 3 year mark that's like 3 to 5 million and want to go to 10, or 1 to 2 that wants to go to 5 to 7. And I can help you do that in a year, but I can also help you set up. I can only show you what I've learned, but a lot of what I do is teach the fundamentals and help you instill retail sales methodologies into your business, teach your salespeople, and have everything be sustaining so I can walk away and you achieve success. And then we monitor it throughout the rest of the year. So I want to keep that so I can get new clients. Well, I got a couple of clients this past year to where I told my wife, if I get this and offset our income by this, I would like to get this. Is that cool? Because she's not going to tolerate frivolous. I have to think about baby, wife, Kenny, or baby, wife, company, Kenny. That's the order. So if you at least run it through those things, and then you have extra income, hey man, rock on.
Love it. What's the success habit contractors love talking about that actually does not matter?
Success habit contractors talk about that actually does not matter. Cold plunge. I don't know. Like that's.
Hey. That
I know
actually
you're
works.
into it, but like the I don't know. I mean, like
Maybe posting cold plunges.
yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't have its benefits. I'm just like I think we could. How about this? The things like that, right? Like there's no like. I'm not saying like. We get caught up in this new thing that's going to all of a sudden like, and that's how, a lot of these coaches and people like the people we talked about get people, right? Like, I suppose the habit is like that there's a purchase to be made or an easy button. There isn't, you know what I mean? It's just hard work and due diligence and you're going to have to time. Like, it's not going to happen in 2 seconds. So this microwave success is not lasting. So I think the habit would be chasing after things that promote microwave success. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna
There's
serve
nothing
you.
instant.
No.
I love it. What's one metric every contractor should track weekly, but probably isn't?
Probably profit for us, especially. That's a big one. Like net profit. We track every job, every time, every week. We go through and we run EOS. I would strongly suggest you do the same. I don't get anything for that. It's a great way to track. Everything has a number. Every department, everyone, right? And so when we go around the room on our leadership L10, I'm sure you're familiar with that. Our CFO, one thing, he just like the list of jobs this week. Out of the jobs, 2 of which were below our profit standard, but as a whole this week we were above and okay. So that allows us to never find ourselves in a situation where 6 months from now we're like, holy shit, we missed the mark on profit. We did all this volume. Because that's the thing, bro. People get so caught up in this gross round number. 100,000, million, 100 million company. But that 100 million company is running a net profit of 5%. And this other company is 50 million, but they're at 20%. Well, that 50 million company is valued far higher, right? Because they're tracking those metrics. So what you track is how you grow.
Is solar dead?
Yeah, I mean, for right now, I think so. I mean, truthfully, I did solar. I still have PCR solar, and it did to state. In Delaware, I think it's dead. Why? Because you can't do what's called a PPA. PPA is the other alternative to selling it. Selling it is appealing because you have those big rebates. That's why people would want to do them. The market is adjusting in that everything was so hyperinflated, right? Well, now these companies that produce and create these materials are having to lower some of these prices. That's the only way it's going to work. Because otherwise, it'd be like having roofing, but like the government was paying to finance that roof, right? And then all of a sudden, the financing part from the government stops, but and the roofing prices are crazy inflated because the government was paying for it, and no one adjusts price, right? Like, why would they do it? What benefit is there if they're not saving any money? It's been too closely associated with saving money. And so you're really only going to get that 1% that's like, I just want to do it because it's clean. You're going to spend $80,000 to like be green. You know what I mean? So I think depending on the state, it is.
Who's the best role model for roofers outside of roofing, in your opinion? Who should people follow in our industry?
Outside of roofing?
Yeah.
I think you're a good one. I think.
I'm in roofing.
Okay, well, so like they can't, even if they not associated with roofing at all.
Just like mentors, good people to follow in your opinion.
I like Jordan Peterson, but I don't know. I'm really big into like NLP and manifestation. So anyone that's involved in anything like that, I'm trying to think of anyone that like really truly stands out. There's so many. Andy's great, man. I mean, he gets a lot of flack, but like he's been good to me, and he's only ever been himself. I think you've had the same experience. He owns who he is. I like him a lot, but honestly, man, I think you're best served to find yourself a mentor that's done some of the things you want to do, whether in your industry or not, and really get connected with that person. You know what I mean? But one individual, I don't know. I follow quite a few online, but anybody that's speaking anything positive, manifestation, good energy, would be somebody that I would focus on, not in roofing, because there's a lot of negative that you can get caught up in if we allow ourselves to. it's great for you in business and like things to talk about. But sometimes I see myself looking at some of these community things in Facebook and other ways, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, I don't want to be associated with this. You know what I mean? Like, it's embarrassing. Like,
too much drama.
yeah, and like, you own a business and you're going back and forth with this other person and blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you doing? Like, you got people you're accountable to. Like, would I want to work for that guy?
I love solid business argument, like, the fight, like if we're fighting with insurance company, if we're fighting, but I agree with you, like nitty-pitty personal characters, nations.
Who's sleeping with who? Come on, man. We don't leave that somewhere else.
What are the best verticals right now for first looking to scale?
Retail is a big one. I think you have to adjust. We're both friends with Chris Zimmerman and John Sinek. I don't want to speak about what they do, but I know what Chris is doing right now. He talked about it on my podcast. He's adjusting, right? He's going with what we would call an options-based close, right? Which is part of a retail technique, really. So not adjusting in the industry whatsoever if you're in an insurance restoration side. So for me, I just added flat out retail as a vertical. I kept the two separate. Chris molds the two. He has got an amalgamation of the two. I think that's fine too. I think to not adjust and add retail as a vertical would be foolish. I think that if you do not know how to actually sell, and when I say retail, let me be very clear because you know what I mean. But a lot of you insurance restoration guys are like, you can't make any money, which is so mind-blowing to me. You can make a lot of money. Like look up the average cost of what shingles are costing. There's a retail guy who's getting that. You set the market. It is then up to you how to prove the value of what you're asking for. And if the value doesn't line up, then yeah, it's not going to work. But if you can justify the value to justify your cost, that's what I teach. But I would say retail, brother, you got to learn how to sell something. You can't depend on insurance.
Questions. What's the fastest way for a contractor to kill momentum inside their roofing company?
Not delivering on what you promised. That is the fastest way. And I see it all the time, right? You say one thing and do another. And look, I have been guilty of I get all excited and I throw these things out. But I will say this, if I've ever offered it and it's been proven that I offered it, I have to deliver on it, even at our behest, because you can lose so many people if you throw something out. Like, my biggest mistake is I'll get hyped up and I'll be like, if someone does this week, they get this. And I'll just forget. And then if someone brings it to me, like, oh, okay, cool. Hey, here. I have to do that. You have to do that. Because if you don't do that, that's the fastest way to somebody to say, okay, what you say doesn't mean shit. And for me, the disappearing carrot is very common in this industry. So not delivering on what you promise, you've got to be so careful. Even unintentionally doing so can kill momentum in a sales room, and sales propagate all the growth in your company.
How can small companies stand out in a busy market like yours and compete with the bigger players?
I mean, that's what we do. I would say embrace that. I would say embrace your identity. That's how I would do it. That's how I do it. So I'm not that big company. So now my job is I'm going to focus on all of the pros of working with a smaller company and sell that, right? Like, that's my job. So I would say embrace your identity. Embrace the uniqueness and build around that, right? Like, I want exclusivity. So for me, that helps. So I embrace it. I embrace the strengths that come with that. Some are just obvious, but like the attention to detail and level of customer service, that's literally one of our lines, right? Like, hey, we're able to offer the same product, services, and warranties as those big corporate companies, while offering the attention to detail and level of customer service you've come to expect from a small family-owned and operated remodeling firm. That's one of our lines that we train our people to say. That's our identity, the best of both worlds. So embrace it. And then list the pros of what that is but if I was the other thing, I'm going to embrace that too, right?
Yeah.
So
how are you different? Not how you're better than others. Yeah,
how are you different, right?
Last question. Finish the sentence. Most contractors don't have a sales problem. They have what problem?
They have what's the word I'm looking for? The room, the temperature in the room. It's my brain is fried. It was a long trip yesterday. Not morale.
Culture?
Culture problem. Yes, they have a culture problem, right? Like, that is where we get to that character part, right? I have my old partner, and I haven't mentioned his name, but this individual is not capable. Not because of even just his character. He just doesn't know how to be a leader or groom or train leaders. That is what it takes, in my professional humble opinion. Like, that's what the best do better than anyone else, is they're awesome themselves, and then they got really good at building the next group of leaders in their company. And that's what my focus is now. If you can't do that, you will not scale, you will not sustain, because then your game becomes, hey, you over there, I'm going to pay you more money than what he's paying you, come over here. And that's just like getting involved in an unfaithful relationship and thinking it's not going to happen to you. They're just going to go start their own thing, or they're going to take more money elsewhere, and that's not sustainable. So you better get really good at developing an internal culture that people want to be a part of. And in order to do that, in my opinion, it's focusing on pouring into leadership and having them then pour that, you know what I mean? It cascades down, but it starts with you. The fish stinks from the head down. So if you're a piece of shit, don't be surprised if your company has piece of shit culture. It's the most eloquently I can put it.
Accepted. Good job, brother. Thank you so much for extra effort. What time did you get in last night?
Dude, I spent 10 hours trying to get in, and I got in maybe midnight. By the time I went to bed, it was like 1 or 2 o'clock. And thank you for being accommodating. I apologize, man, but I was not going to miss coming here because we've been trying to do this since August, man.
Yeah.
So
last week, the snowstorm canceled a lot of flights. It was tough.
yeah, we were supposed to do this last week. The snow came and hit Maryland. Maryland looks like this. And then yesterday, one of the main reasons I was so late is apparently by the sinkhole, they shut the whole runway down. And I think the sinkhole was a result of the weather. Maryland's not equipped for this. You guys just keep moving. We get shut down, dude. Like, we just get shut down for a whole week. So I appreciate you being flexible, man. And we were not. Last thing I'll say is, man, my wife and kid are at home, and as I said in my story, I didn't think I would be here right now at all on any level. So to be thriving or having any success is just such a blessing, dude. I give all the credit. You know, God definitely is something for me that did for me what I couldn't do myself. That's why I won't miss coming here. Because even in the off chance that this gets seen by the right possible client that wants to use my services for consulting, or right PE company, whatever, networking is what I will leave people with. Get really, really good at networking and the relationships that you invest your time into. Dimitri knows everybody. So why would I not want to spend time with someone like this, who is also a good human? There's not very many in this industry. You got to be really careful in this industry. Really careful. Examine your own character. Examine the character around the people, because good people do well, but also bad people can do really well in this industry. So he's literally the epitome. I'm not trying to gas you up or anything like that, but appreciate you being flexible, man.
Appreciate you.